Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Melanie Wise, and I'm the Director of Member Services and the Assistant Executive Director at SARC. I'm pleased to serve as your MC for today. I'd like to welcome both those who've joined us here at the Saskatoon Inn and those who are here with us virtually today for SARC and EmployLink initiatives. It Pays to Be Inclusive Employer Engagement event. And I did want to let you know, in case you didn't hear that announcement there, that this session is being recorded and it will be available on our employlink.ca website following the event. So to get started, just with an acknowledgement, we are here in Saskatoon today. We are dedicated to working with all Indigenous peoples and nations in partnerships towards truth and reconciliation. And as the event is here in Saskatoon, I'll take the opportunity to acknowledge the traditional territories of the Indigenous peoples of Treaty 6, including the Cree, Anishinaabe, Dakota, Assiniboine, Dene, and the traditional homeland of the Métis people. We respect the diverse histories, languages, and cultures of the many people who have called Treaty 6 home and work in conjunction with all treaty people and nations. And now I do want to thank you for being part of our Disability Employment Awareness Month, or DEEM, festivities. For the past 2 decades, the government of Saskatchewan has proclaimed the month of October as Disability Employment Awareness Month. Throughout this month, we've been celebrating employers who have realized the benefits of building an inclusive workplace. And we've also been building awareness of the benefits that an inclusive culture can bring to a workplace. Before I get into today's presentations, I wanted to spend a minute talking about another event that is taking place 1 week from today. On Thursday, October 20th, SARC will be participating in the second national Light It Up for NDEEM, which is National Disability Employment Awareness Month, campaign. This is a national campaign. It's spearheaded by the Ontario Disability Employment Network, and it's aimed at building awareness of inclusive employment and the benefits of hiring people experiencing disability. So we have governments, businesses, and organizations that are all being encouraged to light up their buildings or structures with purple and blue lights that night, October 20th. In 2021, the first national campaign saw over 115 communities and over 330 locations across Canada participating. SARC is very proud to lead the initiative here in Saskatchewan, and we were just delighted that in our first year, we had 14 communities joining us, lighting up 44 different buildings and structures across the province. We will be leading the Saskatchewan effort again this year, and there's still time to join us for the event next week. Our numbers are growing, and we're happy to see that. We're at over 64 locations at last count, but we'd love to see that go up. We'd love to have you join us for that. There is some information on your tables, and if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to any of our staff after the event. With your help, we can show the rest of Canada how brightly Saskatchewan can shine for inclusive employment. What we're really hoping to do is that people will see all these purple and blue lights and ask questions about what are these lights about, and we can have a conversation about the benefits of hiring inclusively. So now on to today's event. You may notice that there's some swag on the table for you. We'd like to thank Milk Jar Candle Company and SaskTel for those, as well as some items from our EmployLink initiative here as well. So enjoy the candles, pop sockets, pens, phone stands, and phone cleaner spray. I forgot to bring it up with me. Lisa, hold it up because I know we had some people asking, what is this? It's phone cleaner spray, and it's got a little cleaner pad on the back, and it's super handy. This table here is a big fan, so I wanted to make sure you knew about it. Great. Thank you so much for the demo. This afternoon, we're going to have the opportunity to hear from 2 different employers about their experiences and the things that they've seen within their workplaces as a result of hiring people experiencing disability. So first, we'll hear from both our speakers, and then we will open it up to any questions that you may have. For those of you here in this room, we'll ask you to hold your questions until that time. For those of us joining virtually, please use the Q&A feature in Zoom, not the chat box, to enter your questions throughout the presentations, and we will compile them and ask them during the Q&A portion of the event. And in addition, again, for virtual attendees, if you're having any technical difficulties, please use that chat feature, and any of our staff are monitoring that and will be able to help. So now we've got the logistics out of the way, we'll get started with our first speaker. Holly Singer is the owner of Milk Jar Candle Company in Calgary, Alberta. Founded in her kitchen nearly 6 years ago, Milk Jar was created by Holly as not only a way to handcraft beautiful candles, and you all have one to enjoy on your table, but also as a vehicle for a greater purpose to support the disability community. Since its inception in 2016, Milk Jar has donated $1 from the sale of every candle and diffuser to nonprofits in Alberta that support children with disabilities to learn and grow. In 5 years, Milk Jar has raised over $156,000 for programs like Pace Kids, Between Friends, and GRIT, Calgary Society, which stands for Getting Ready for Inclusion Today. As Milk Jar grew and began hiring employees, they became an inclusive employer in 2019 and have offered employment opportunities to people experiencing disability. Today, Milk Jar is a thriving and quickly growing business of 19 employees. Holly will share her experience and insights to the benefits of hiring and running an inclusive workplace. So please help me welcome Holly Singer.
Thank you for that warm welcome. Just going to bring my notes up here right now. Okay, and I got my clicker. I'm really excited to be here today to share with you my story and journey of becoming an inclusive employer and successfully growing a thriving business that has strong values in creating inviting spaces and being an inclusive employer. My hope is that I leave you today asking yourself questions of what more you can do as an employer and feel inspired from hearing that even the smallest of businesses can have impactful change. My name is Holly Singer, and Milk Jar is a company I founded 6 years ago in my kitchen at a time when I was feeling pretty unsure of my path and worried that I was unable to work in a job that felt purposeful. I would like to acknowledge that Milk Jar operates on the traditional territories of the Blackfoot Confederacy, the Tsuut'ina, the Stoney Nakoda Nations, the Métis Nation Region 3, and all people who make their home in Treaty 7 region of Southern Alberta, commonly known as Calgary. I might need some help. Oh, there you go. And yep, that's me. Now you're probably wondering how I got myself into that situation. This was taken at Milk Jar after a wax melter mishap, and it is probably one of my favorite photos of myself. I know what it looks like, but it is candle wax, I promise you. Get your head out of the gutters. This is, and the point of this photo is to get the point across that we make candles at Milk Jar. We hand manufacture them. We make coconut soy candles, more specifically with wooden wicks that you all have one on your tables for you to take home and enjoy today. But we also do much more than just make candles. My next slide is a video from an ad we did with Shaw Business that is a really good visual and concise story of what we make and who we are.
Hi, I'm Holly Singer, and I'm the owner of Milk Jar Company in Calgary, Alberta. Milk Jar really is more than just a candle. In the beginning, I wanted to sell a product and have some of the proceeds donated to the disability community in Alberta. Creating inviting spaces is our mission statement here, and really what my focus has been on is creating inclusive workplaces. A quarter of our staff here have disabilities, and they bring so much creativity and joy and amazing work ethic here. They really have boosted our culture. We have an online shop at Milk Jar, and that really is our strongest e-commerce platform. Our shop business internet is really important to how our business runs, and it runs really well. I think as a business owner, it is our human duty to lift everyone up and provide opportunities. I'm so excited to see where we take it and the impact that we continue to make.
All right. So that was a really exciting opportunity that Shaw presented to us. I actually didn't know how much that ad would be shown. I think it's been shown for the last 5 months, and I probably would have gotten a haircut if I knew it was going to be shown as much as it has been. But that was a really special thing for us that brings awareness to inclusive workplaces and that they exist and are thriving. But let's go back a little bit to before I started my company. I'll need more help. Thank you. To before I started my company and the reason behind why I created Milk Jar. So I've not always been a candle maker. I did not go to school for candle making. I actually went to the University of Calgary for a kinesiology degree about 12 years ago. And it was in this degree that I met this gentleman here, Fraser, in a practicum placement for my adapted physical activity class. Meeting Fraser and his mother and swimming with them once a week and deciding to continue to assist with this pool therapy program 7 years afterwards was the spark that led me to desire assisting others in a way that I could offer so they could grow, flourish, and ultimately be happier from it. Now, the key word I used here was assist. Fraser was the one that showed up, put the work in, and met his goals. All I was there to do was assist with moving limbs that he was unable to and apply pressure to encourage a stretch. Similar to an athletic therapist with an athlete, or perhaps receiving a back massage in an area that you can't reach. We all need some assistance sometimes. I never did anything for Fraser. I just assisted him in being successful on his own. It is very similar. There is a little analogy I like to use that I think we can all understand for what it means to assist and be accommodating to someone. I think of being a young kid and not being tall enough to get over a fence. And perhaps you're with a friend who is tall enough. They're able to get over that fence on their own, but all you need is a little boost. So they get down on their knees, they give you their hands, and they boost up your leg. You reach for the fence and you get over that fence all on your own. And then your friend follows after you, who's just a little bit taller, and you both made it over yourself. That is what it means to be an inclusive employer that employs people with disabilities. There might be an accommodation of more time to complete a task, more frequent breaks, or a flexible schedule due to transportation access, but it is still them that show up, work hard, and get their job done. This world is challenging for many people, including all of us here, but it is a lot more challenging for others that don't have access to the same opportunities that we have. It is a privilege to own a business in Canada. And it is our responsibility and human duty, like I said in that video, to use our ownership and decision-making privileges to hire people not commonly considered for positions and lift up our community. After university, I believed my calling was to be an occupational therapist. Long story short, I applied for a master's and didn't get in. I think I partied a little bit too much in university. I jumped around a few jobs, working for a nonprofit and waitressing. And it was a few years after university that I began to make candles personally at home, just for myself and to give them to friends. I love baking, I love crafting, I love scents, I love candles. And I really wanted to make a clean burning candle because I was always buying cheap, toxic ones. So I decided to learn how to make my own candles. I also loved wooden wicks, and they weren't really that common or seen very much in stores. So I sourced out some wood wicks, sourced out some clean wax and scents, and started making candles. After a year of creating and giving away candles, I felt like people may want to buy them. I thought they were pretty good. And I figured I could use them as a greater purpose to raise money and give back to programs that support the disability community, a community that I cared so much about. And in November 2016, Milk Jar Candle Company was born. Oh, yep. So in my first year as a company, I remember thinking, if I could raise $500, that would just be absolutely amazing. And in our first year, we ended up raising $2,000 and donating it to CADS Calgary, which stands for the Canadian Association for Disabled Skiing at COP. And it was a program that Fraser participated in and always had really great things to say about it. And in 5 years, as you heard from our introduction, Milk Jar has raised over $156,000 to nonprofits that support children with disabilities in Alberta. And that's incredible. I never in my wildest dreams thought that that could happen. Thank you. Fast forward. Oh, did I? Let me look at I think I missed one. There we go. Fast forward 3 years into our company, and we were steadily growing, needing more space and needing to hire employees. We moved into an industrial bay and had a team of 2 to 3 employees helping with the operations. When I needed to expand my team further, I began to seriously consider how I could make another decision in my company to take that next big step in our supportive practices and represent our mission of creating inviting spaces right into our very workplace. I decided that I wanted to offer a production position to an applicant with a disability. The only problem was I didn't know where to start. I had no idea where to start looking or how to reach out to the disability community with our position. I ended up reaching out to one of the nonprofits that we donated to ask where I could start, and they set me up with Inclusion Alberta. When I reached out to Inclusion Alberta, they were thrilled to assist me. They actually told me that employers never reach out to them. Typically, they have a large pool of employee talent, and they make calls and visits to businesses that have job postings, but they are often met with resistance. This was a little surprising to me, but it also wasn't at the same time. It got me thinking about why I might be more comfortable implementing inclusive hiring in my company when someone else might not. And it's from meeting and getting to know Fraser in my university degree. Other than that, I had not really spent any lengthy amount of time with people that have disabilities. Not in my family, not in school, not in university, not in work. And I believe it is this lack of exposure and visibility to the disability community that is hindering others from taking the importance of inclusion seriously. Hearing this really highlighted the lack of inclusion that exists in our society that doesn't expose us to learning, working, and playing alongside people that have differences. So Inclusion Alberta came into my business to meet with me and see what was required for the position I was hiring for. They presented me with 3 resumes. I interviewed all 3 of them, and I hired Lauren and Amanda, who are still at Milk Jar today. And that's Amanda in the photo there. We have also worked with another service provider called Gateway Association, and there are many more out there that can assist you with your hiring needs. Service providers have been an incredible support and encouragement for our company throughout our inclusive hiring and employment. They have provided me with the skills, tools, and words to insert this purpose into our company as smoothly as possible. They are always a call or an email away to address any needs I have, and they regularly visit and check in to see how things are going with our staff and with myself. That was really helpful for us. Oh, I went ahead. Our staff were supported with an aide that came for a month and a half to support their onboarding and training until we decided that the new employee and our new team member was ready to come and work on their own. That was really helpful to give us and the employee a bit more assistance as they learned the new role. It is important to note that the goal should always be for your employee to be able to work independently from an aide if they are able to do so. Independence is something that is usually valued by everyone and is valuable life skill for people to have. I always say this to my managers at work, and it's a nice baseline that we have for all of our employees. I always say that if this employee was to leave our company, did we set them up with the necessary skills to be an excellent employee elsewhere? Do they know what is expected of them as an employee that follows provincial employment standards? That always encourages us to expect great things from all of our staff members. Employee Link, which you can see just down at the bottom there, is another great service provider in Saskatchewan that you can reach out to. And I also included the link for the Mentorability Provincial Hub website, supportedemployment.ca/mentorability/provincial-hubs. And that is a website, a hub that shows service providers nationwide in different provinces. That is a great place to start, is just reaching out to a service provider, asking some questions and saying you're interested to learn more. We have been an employee or an inclusive employer now for 2.5 years, and I have a pretty good grasp on the benefits now that I've seen in our company. We're a team of 20 staff members that hires people with and without disabilities, and 1/4 of our team members have a physical and or learning disability. Before this talk, I had never really put into words the benefits that I've seen in my company. My measure that it was working was just if it felt good. So that was it before. But I was really excited to put into words today for you what I have seen. And I was even shocked on all the amazing improvements that have happened in our company. I began writing these down a couple of weeks ago, and I'm excited to share them with you today. Employee retention is higher among our disabled employees. And since becoming an inclusive workspace, we have seen an increase in employee retention among all of our staff members. They share that they have more purpose working for a company that cares more about people and less about only sales and profits. Being an inclusive employer has also created a better work culture and positive work environment in a couple of ways. By attracting people to apply for positions at Milk Jar that share our same company values of equity, inclusion, and diversity, and by us becoming more accommodating to our employees and dedicated to their goals, growth, and success. Accommodation for one person can usually be an accommodation desired by all employees, such as flexible work schedules, more frequent breaks. And it really doesn't, accommodations really do not have to cost a lot of money. Connection among teams has also improved in our workspace. When we began hiring people with disabilities, it highlighted gaps in our training guides that were either non-existent or lacked detail. It also highlighted how important regular check-ins by supervisors and management is with all of our staff throughout the day. It has reduced the guesswork that our staff may have on their daily tasks and created opportunities for employees to share what they are working on, for us to answer any current questions they may have, and to praise them for their success that day. This has created more connection and cohesion among all departments of our team. Intentful communication is everything in a workplace. Clear, direct, and thoughtful communication is a skill we began to practice and develop in our workplace when we became an inclusive employer. Early on in our management, we would sometimes assume employees would know what was expected of them without communicating it at all, which led to issues and misunderstandings. When we began training people with disabilities, we learned the importance of clear communication for their success and, in turn, all of employees' success. Continuously reflecting on how we can better set up our employees, giving feedback in the moment, and speaking intently allows everyone to meet expectations, perform to the best of their ability, and be successful. And lastly, we have seen a huge amount of community support since being inclusive. People want to support companies that have adopted equity, diversity, inclusion practices. This last one is very important to business owners. We create businesses with the hopes that the public will support us, and without it, your business may not exist. What I found with Milk Jar is that when you prioritize the people in your company and the customers you serve by welcoming everyone and giving them equal opportunity, it will allow your company to gain access to more diverse markets and in turn grow your business. Right. Now, you've just heard all these amazing things from me, but I would like to turn it over to some of my staff on a video that I created just a couple weeks ago. I did a quick little interview just on my cell phone, so it's not a very high production. But I would like to hear, I would like you to hear from them on what they think about working at Milk Jar, what inclusion means to them, and what they would want to tell other business owners.
I'm speaking in October to talk to teams employers about inclusive workplaces, and is there anything you'd like to share about when speaking to or working at Milk Jar or anything you'd like to share? So we here at Milk Jar is really lot, and it's really flexible for everyone. Right. Yeah. What do you do at Milk Jar and how long have you been here? 7 months. And I work in the community. I also work in the community as well. I think that thing, is just how they've been able to see where everyone belongs and kind of what everyone is saying to the other. And I really like if you're an employer or looking to hire someone with special disabilities, I think there's a lot of fear and insecurity around it. And so my thing is just having conversations with this friend, working with successful maybe for whatever reason it's been a long one, but usually she will start and they understand to be
everything optional for your worry, so it's really work, it's gonna be bad for next year, it's gonna feel that. And the reality is that it doesn't, like, whether you're able-bodied person or you don't live in a lot of work and contribute so that everybody else does, you bring your best foot forward and do the best that you can. And want to work there hard. Not prove it, but you put it in the you contribute.
You do. I'm going to do. It's different time.
Yep.
What do you think of it? Tell me what you think, and how long have you been working with children?
2 years.
2 years. And you're still learning new tasks?
Yep.
Yeah.
Billing, taxing, loan.
Yeah. Can you tell me what it's like to work at Melcher?
Very fun to work in that job. I like it. I like it a lot. I like the things that I'm a lot. I get excited to get out of the morning
Why do you like coming to work?
because I like the friendly there and the tech and I like the staff and I like the old.
Perfect. Thanks, Lauren.
That's the rest of person is to be part of society. Yes. Yes.
That feels good, right?
Yeah, that feels good.
Okay, Lauren.
You're welcome.
Good luck on this season.
Thank you. My name is Allie, and I started this restaurant a year ago, and it really was creative on the show. And I was so happy that once I was on the birthday. So we started off slow, where they showed me, and they sat down and explained to me what was expected of me. And then they given me like a list of things to do because we were on track. So when I got this work as a student, it has helped a lot. So now I'm learning now how to raise a family with more confidence. So that's good because when I first walked in, my self-confidence was down. And I didn't know what I could do with my life, so it just gave me like a purpose. And I worked 5 days a week, and I worked 6-hour shifts. And yeah, I have a good team, and we work together. Yeah.
Is there anything you want to know for the team?
But together, like, employees that have disabilities to give them the chance. And like, it's a good asset for the company to the piece and so like a little things like that. The different atmosphere.
You very much. You're very wonderful. How many Google reviews have mentioned your name?
Yeah.
Yes, you're and you have you trained down here?
Yeah.
And you're training about stuff now. So
Yeah.
thanks so much, Allie.
Yeah.
Noah, how long have you been on Melcher?
Just over a year.
And what do you think about it?
It's pretty good. I love Melcher.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the best. I was in long, I got to job before it, and before
And what is being in an inclusive state like you do, and what how do you think Melcher is?
it means everything that they do. The work, have a good day, it's just figuring out like how big is the day, so you have the benefits for it. So, and yeah, you know, there's a big down, I just, I think that all of it. So, you know, so one of the more, getting mistakes.
All right. That was a long video. I'm sorry. Thanks. I hope you enjoyed that video of my milk jarians, I call them. I actually just came up with that on the spot. I'll have to tell them that now. And I hope their messages resonated with you today. It was said wonderfully by Sarah and Ali that people with disabilities deserve to work and want to work, and they will be incredible assets and representations of your company. All right, how it's going. And here's just a little slide. This one's just a quick one, but I just wanted to share with you some achievements that we have made in our company that and the recognition that we have received. So I believe that was 2020, that's Matthew, my director of operations, and I. And we won a DEEM award for our inclusive hiring practices. The middle photo is our workspace. So that's actually a candle making workshop happening in our industrial bay. And that was a really exciting time last year because when I first moved into our bay, we couldn't afford to renovate or make it pretty. But then a year later, we were able to bring in an interior designer and outfit it all nice and, start offering candle making workshops and bringing the public in to learn all our tips and tricks. So that was a really incredible accomplishment that we were able to do that and afford that in our company. And then the last photo is, that's a photo of me from last year. I was not part of the Avenue Magazine's 2021 class, top 40 under 40 in Alberta, which was a pretty incredible accomplishment. I was amongst surgeons and inventors, it seems like. And the cool thing why I wanted to show you that is people care about this. People care about this work, and it's really important. Okay. So why aren't more businesses hiring inclusively? So here's a slide that tends to make people a little shy in the room, but I believe it is an important one. I want to talk about some of the reasons why business owners are not hiring inclusively in their company. And some of these answers may be a reason that you have or you will have prior to today. It is important to say out loud the honest reasons why inclusive hiring is not a practice we currently have, because when we identify what is holding us back, we learn to make the necessary changes. This poll is not taken from a very large research pool. It is something that we just posted on our social media. It lasted for 24 hours, just asking business owners and hiring managers to answer. So it's people that already follow Milk Jar, mostly in Alberta. And we had 22 business owners and hiring managers answer. So this isn't a very high level research here. This is just something that I've seen from businesses that we've kind of that we worked closely together with. The answers that people could choose were common answers I had heard before, and they are don't know where to start, meaning just like me, they were unaware that service providers exist. Fear of change and the unknown, which I attribute to the lack of visibility of disabled workers and false stereotypes that have existed in our society that disabled workers do not want to work, because as you have heard from my staff, that is clearly not the case. They are some of our most dedicated team members. Haven't tried to hire inclusively yet was an option that we put. So that was kind of as if business owners, maybe they're just a small team of 1 or 2 people and they're just waiting to get bigger, but it is an intention that they do have. And lastly, financial reasons, meaning they believe it to be costly to their business to hire inclusively. That last answer I would like to debunk because that is simply not the case either. The return on investment of hiring inclusively far surpasses someone's ability to perhaps work as efficiently as their coworker. We have saved costs on rehiring and training for their positions, and our sales and profits has increased since becoming a dedicated inclusive employer. In 2019, before we hired inclusively, our profit margin was about 13%. In 2020, the year we hired Lauren and Amanda, we profited 32%. This is also due to the pandemic surge a little bit that saw an increase in online sales. But last year we profited 24%. So both 2020 and 2021 are quite different numbers than in 2019. I really want to highlight that there are 64% of these answers was don't know where to start and fear of change in the unknown. So it needs to be known that service providers like Inclusion Alberta and Employ Like exist with this onboarding process. People that want to work for a company that have a disability want the exact same thing as everyone else. If there is a change that occurs in your company with the way you manage or lead people, the way you set your team up for success, and the focus you direct to their success, it is all beneficial change to the growth of your company that should have been there all along. It's okay to admit to ourselves our own reasonings for why our companies are not inclusive, because it is from this awareness again that we can start making the good change. So the fear of change unknown, I just said, I think the change is a beneficial change that's going to happen. It's not something that we need to be scared of. And really, we just have to take a chance. You don't, not being sure if an employee is going to work out, you think about that all the time with any employee, whether they have a disability or not. And sometimes it doesn't work out, and that's okay. Not everyone is a good fit for the position that they're hired in. You really just need to, treat everyone equally and hold them to the same standards that requires you as an employer in your province. All right. So my ask to you is those big ones. Don't know where to start for your change unknown. Haven't tried it yet. Just try it. Just give it a shot. I mean, it's most likely that it's going to work out and it's going to change your company for the better and make your workplace better for everyone. Now, this is my last slide. I hope I haven't gone over time. I think I'm okay. But what I really want to hit home with you today and why I'm so excited to be here and talk to you as employers is that it starts with you. You need to be the change that you want to see in workplaces. Don't wait for someone else to do it. I did it, and I hope with the exposure that you see here today and the visibility of our team and seeing that our business is successful, I hope that we can inspire you to take the step as well as be dedicated to being an inclusive workplace. It is up to us to change outdated hiring practices, challenge false stereotypes of disabled workers, and create more meaningful and purposeful companies for future generations. As a business owner, you will have bad days. You spend too much money, a client cancels on a project with you. If your company has more purpose than just sales, it'll set you apart from your competitors and it will get you out of bed on those hard days. Knowing that Lauren wants to retire at Milk Jar and Ali says she has gained more confidence and Noah saying he has more good days than bad days is what gets me out of bed on those tough days, and we all have them. The only thing holding you back from offering someone a job at your company with a disability is just your decision to do it. There are candidates that are willing, ready, and able that want to provide for your company. Making a difference and changing workplaces will require sustained action over a period of time. If you are in a position to do so, please commit to doing something different. Take a chance on and mentor someone that has a different profile than you and invest in their development. Welcome that person into your company and most importantly, pay them what they are worth. That is a privilege that you have to give to others. If we work on this and we collectively all come together, great things will happen. Workplaces will change, people will change, our communities will be healthier and happier, and inclusive companies will no longer be the exception, they will be the rule. Thank you. And then I think, I have a slide with my email. I don't know if you want to see that. My last slide, sorry. There you go. Oh, there you go. And that photo again. There you go. There's my email. There is our address and our website, and that's our office phone number if you want to write it down. Thank you.
Well, thanks, Holly, so much for sharing with us. Not only have you led the way with donating, portion of your sales to organizations that are supporting people experiencing disability, but this presentation was great for highlighting the benefits that you've seen by hiring inclusively and as your business has grown. And we look forward to continue watching your business thrive over the coming years. So thank you so much for being with us. We're now going to hear from Sharon Davis about her experiences in helping to build a culture that values inclusion at SaskTel. Sharon Davis is an HR professional who has been employed with SaskTel for the past 25 years, primarily in the Human Resources Department in various positions. Her current role as Human Resources Director involves providing leadership and management of day-to-day operations excuse me, for SaskTel's talent acquisition, occupational health and safety, and environment teams. In addition, she oversees SaskTel's supported employment program, which focuses on creating employment opportunities for people experiencing disability. In Sharon's spare time, she tells us she enjoys working out at the gym, playing sports, and spending quality time with family. Please help me in welcoming Sharon Davis.
Well, thanks, Melanie. And thank you to Sark for having me here today. It's so nice to be at an in-person event, see everybody's faces. And Holly, congratulations on your growing business. That was a fantastic presentation, and I absolutely loved the videos. So as Melanie mentioned, I'm Sharon Davis. I'm very proud to tell you that I celebrated my 25th work anniversary with SaskTel just last month. So yay, I'm still here. And I'm sure most of you are familiar with SaskTel. We've been around for over 114 years now. We have a workforce of about 3,000 people. We are unionized. So we have about 2,300 unionized employees and about 700 managers. We are government owned, and we operate in a very competitive information and communications technology industry. This is Jordan. Jordan works in our staffing office in Regina. He works 7 hours a week, and he helps us with a lot of things around the office. He archives competition files for us. He cleans interview rooms, he recycles, he sorts and delivers mail, and all kinds of other duties as well. I feel so fortunate to work for a forward-thinking company like SaskTel, especially when it comes to an inclusive workforce. SaskTel has really had a representative workforce for many, many years now. It's been focused on providing employment opportunities for individuals belonging to traditionally underrepresented groups in the workforce. And of course, people with disabilities has been one of those traditionally underrepresented groups. We did recognize that there were external and internal barriers that limit the employment of individuals with disabilities, and in particular, individuals with cognitive disabilities seem to have a greater challenge to become employed within our organization. This is Kevin Macbeth and his daughter, Lauren. I just wanted to talk about Kevin for a moment. Kevin is a former HR manager at SaskTel, and way back in 2010, he took our representative workforce strategy a step further, and he created a partnership between SaskTel and Saskatchewan Abilities Council to adopt a formalized supported employment program within our corporation. And these are Kevin's words. I started the supported employment program because I saw that there were no opportunities for people like my daughter, Lauren, and others like her with Down syndrome, autism, and other cognitive abilities to earn a meaningful wage doing meaningful work. I wanted SaskTel, one of the biggest employers in the province and a leader in our industry, to show everyone else that this kind of opportunity could be a reality for people like Lauren. Well, Kevin had a vision, and his vision came to life. I believe we were the first Saskatchewan company to create a formal partnership with Sask Abilities to offer this type of program. So through this program, we look for people with skills and talent that we need to run the business effectively, and we job carve positions to match their abilities. The program connects SaskTel to job seekers and supports individuals in long-term meaningful employment. You know, it really is a win-win for both the individual and the business. So how does the program work? Well, we work with a variety of community-based organizations as well as post-secondary institutes, many service providers, to identify candidates that may have the skill sets and abilities we are looking for at SaskTel. So listed here are a few organizations that we have worked with: SARC, Partners in Employment, Saskatchewan Association of Community Living, Autism Resource Center, U of R, Campus for All, 4 to 40. There's just so many more organizations that we have worked with. So what we do is we conduct interviews with potential candidates. Usually it's with a representative from our staffing office and a job coach from the organization. And through this interview process and consulting with the job coach, we determine if there's a match between the candidate's skills and abilities and the work that we require at SaskTel. If we feel there is a match, we engage the union and we job carve a position for them. And I have to say, our union, Unifor, has been so supportive of the supported employment program since day one. The program really needs buy-in from many different stakeholders, and our union is one of those stakeholders. And if without their support or endorsement, the program would not be what it is today. So from there, as I mentioned, we develop a job carve, and a unique job description is created for the individual. We essentially are looking at their strengths, their abilities, their talents of the individual, and creating that unique set of responsibilities. The supported employee has a reporting manager, just like anyone else, and belongs to a respective work group. And depending on the work required at SaskTel, plus the individual's ability to work, their work hours can range anywhere from 2 to 40 hours a week. We have many working as little as 7 hours, like Jordan, and some that are working full-time every day. Usually a supported employee has a job coach through their sponsored organization. The job coach helps the employee transition into their position and remains with the employee as long as necessary. Really, the role of the job coach is to work themselves out of a job. And we also have found that pre-employment workplace readiness meetings are especially important in order to set up the individual for success, as well as the work group. In order to be successful, everyone needs to be on the same page and know what to expect. The job coach from the organization will usually talk to the work group about the new employee joining the team. In some cases, we've even had family members come into the workplace readiness meeting, and the mom or dad or even sister or brother has talked about the new employee, what their personality is like, their likes and dislikes. It really does set up the person to be successful in the work group. And I just want to mention Paul here. He was in the last couple of slides. Paul works in our finance department as a filing assistant. Yes, we do still have lots of paper at SaskTel. He files very important documents received in our payrolls group, and he also manages a high volume of mail that comes through our customer remittance area. So Paul has been with us for several years now. So I think our program has been so successful because there's tremendous support from our president, Doug Burnett, and our executive team, from our union, Unifor, and all of our employees. You know, it's really built into the fabric of SaskTel. If you have a really good success story, you're off to the races. And our success story started with Nick Popowich. We hired him from a program called Campus for All at the University of Regina for 2 summer terms in our SaskTel retail store. Nick is absolutely amazing. He's been with us for over 12 years now. He's a spokesperson for the Canadian Down Syndrome Society. He talks about his job at SaskTel and how his career has had such a positive impact on his life. It's nothing short of inspiring and motivational. And Nick was also a guest speaker at our SaskTel Leadership Conference in 2017. We had over 700 managers in attendance. He rocked the house. Everybody just absolutely loved him. And as of late, Nick has become our corporate kindness ambassador, spreading kindness and supporting one another in the workplace. So following the success of Nick's employment, SaskTel identified other areas within the company that we needed additional resources and work to be completed. We matched skill sets of folks with the needs of the business and have grown the program in various departments in a variety of positions. And I'm very proud to say we have 16 supported employees working at SaskTel in a variety of locations across the province. Here's a picture of a couple more of our employees. Daniel is on the left. He works in the warehouse. He cleans equipment and also works with the Flex delivery system that sends SaskTel products and equipment to customers. And on the right is Jonathan, or otherwise known as Johnny. He works in our warehouse too in Regina. He works as a shipping assistant, sorting SaskTel used equipment that is mailed to the warehouse. So both very valued employees. And if you ever meet Johnny, he sure can, he has some good magic tricks with cards too. So when you have an open and inclusive work environment, the positives are tenfold. As Holly mentioned, it's incredible. It's amazing how much the level of engagement increases within the work group. Productivity increases. The culture is very collaborative. There is that willingness and the dedication to help each other out in our day-to-day work. And, you know, our employees have a real sense of belonging and a real sense of pride where they work. You know, and I know Holly mentioned this too. The supported employees we have working at SaskTel are the most loyal and dedicated employees that you will ever find. I hardly think they miss a day of work. And we actually have to encourage them to take their vacation. So all of these individuals we have hired have a lot to bring to the table. Each person has a unique skills, abilities, and strengths that we leverage as a company. They are performing meaningful work and they're contributing to our bottom line. So what do you as an employer need to know? I think, you know, to be honest, organizations need to understand that there's going to be bumps along the way. Perhaps there will be challenges in building an inclusive workforce. For example, some people have a difficult time accepting others that they view different from themselves. It's important that work groups are ready and willing to accept new employees into their work environment and understand how they can provide support and guidance to them along the way to help them succeed. This sometimes can be challenging and requires a great deal of patience. And I also want to mention that the HR Prime needs to do their homework regarding the work environment, the people that are working there, the culture that exists. This is so important because the ultimate goal here is to set up the new employee for success as well as the business. So to get started, I recommend that you reach out to a community organization today or a service provider. Organizations like SARC are fantastic to work with and will provide employers and job seekers the support they need to succeed. I also recommend checking out EmployLink, which is SARC's website that has a listing of service providers across the province that can help employers get started. You know, inclusive workforce just makes good business sense. I encourage any employer to hire a person with a disability. You certainly won't be disappointed. The positives are absolutely tenfold. So I'd just like to close off my presentation by playing SaskTel's Deem commercial in partnership with SARC, which features a few of our employees that are working at SaskTel.
At SaskTel, hiring people experience provided us with a competitive advantage. Creating an inclusive workforce has resulted in numerous benefits, including increased job retention, more engaged employees, and a culture that values diversity, all of which have been critical to our success over the years. I would absolutely encourage any business leader to hire people experiencing a disability because it pays to be inclusive.
So that was a great opportunity that SARC presented to us to create a commercial, and that features our president and CEO, Doug Burnett, and of course, a few of our supported employees. As I mentioned, we have support from the top and all across the corporation, which I'm so thankful for. This program is really near and dear to my heart, and it has really impacted a lot of lives. So with that, I really thank you for having me here today. If you have any questions at all about inclusive hiring or SaskTel's supported employment program, I'd love to hear from you. Give me a call, send me an email. I'd love to have a conversation. Thank you.
Thanks, Sharon, so much for sharing your experiences and the benefits that SaskTel has seen hiring people experiencing disability. And yes, thank you for showing the commercial. It's been an absolute pleasure to partner with SaskTel over the past number of years and promote the inclusive workplace that you've helped to create. As a Crown Corporation and one of Saskatchewan's larger employers, we thank SaskTel for helping to lead the way in Saskatchewan and creating inclusive workplaces. So we've heard from two employers that have shared their experiences, and I know some of you may have some questions for them. So you just sat down, but I am going to ask the both of you actually to come up onto the stage. We'll invite some questions. We have some microphones available, and I've got a couple of folks here in the room who'll be happy to come to you. So if you do have a question, please raise your hand. And for those of you who are joining us virtually, you still have time to get your questions in by using the Q&A feature of Zoom. So I'm going to step aside now, and we'll let the questions begin. And you lovely ladies can come up to the mic when. Yeah. There's no question.
Well, thank you, ladies, so much for sharing your experiences. I have a question for our SaskTel lady. When you're talking about preparing your fellow workers to be in the mindset to, partner up and support, your employees coming in with the supported employment, can you speak a little bit of how you gauge that, how you support them, what that process looks like?
For sure. Yeah, we found that the workplace readiness meetings were very beneficial before an employee started. Now, you can do this a couple of different ways. Sometimes a new employee is comfortable being part of that conversation before they actually start, and sometimes maybe not. And so we have the job coach, or like I say, family members come and talk about the individual and how they can be supported. So I think it's important for people to know what to expect. I think it's important for them to understand, the supports that the new person requires when they start the job. And, the role of the job coach. So all of a sudden now there is another person in the workplace with the new employee. And I think it's important for them to understand the role of the job coach. And this is what they're doing. They're helping them with their duties, their responsibilities, becoming integrated within the workplace, and even that social aspect, right, between the new employees. So we just found that it's really beneficial. So everybody's on the same page, and we try to have a very open conversation about it so people are comfortable asking questions. Does that help?
Hi, thank you for the presentation. The question is for Sharon. So how do you measure like the success of your program, right? What kind of tools you use to measure inclusion and track like the number? I work for the city of Saskatoon, so we have similar programs there too with our employee partners. But I'm curious to see how do you like what kind of tools you use to measure your success.
Well, I mean, it is a little bit difficult, but I would say that, the retention of employees, like I say, that the supported employees that we bring into SaskTel are very dedicated. And it also, as Holly mentioned, increases, retention within the work group. We just found that it's a very collaborative work culture and that people do want to support one another. So I don't know if we have any hard and fast measures in place, but you can see it through the culture, through the support for one another, through productivity, engagement, all of those types of things. So we do have an employee engagement survey that goes out every year. So you can see that in some of those work groups as well.
Questions in the room? My business is for special need kids and adults. So I'm always thinking how one special need can help another special need. So yeah, I'm not, I have one staff in casual that he's a special need, but I'm always a bit worried that because they both are in the same boat, so how can they help each other? So I'm not sure how can I find the answer of that.
Sorry, I don't think I heard that correctly. Well,
And please correct me if I'm wrong. You were asking, I think, how can workers who you have that experience a disability, how can they help each other? Was it along that line? Oh, okay. Okay, so the clients that she supports are children with disability and adults with disabilities. And how could she have someone with a disability supporting those individuals as well? Have you had that experience?
well, like in the video, like Ali's already training some of our staff members on tasks. I just think just like any other staff member, you present it to them, you make sure that they've been in your company for a while and you know what their skill set is. Most people would jump at the chance to start training, anyone would, and offering their expertise. And I find that our supported employees take very seriously how well they do their work, and they have high expectations for other people too, to do it just as well, to impress the owner, I guess, as Lauren said. Do you, sorry?
And she's saying, so if she has a kid in her program who has autism, can a person who also has autism support that person?
I think so. I think if you're unsure, I think a great person to or group to ask is your service provider, who would probably know a lot more about how to go about having them learn new skills and grow in that way. And I really do think that there would be a nice connection amongst two people with autism working together. I think it would be very valuable. And I say just give it a shot, and you can always ease into it with another employee being a part of it and observing. That is always a nice way to do it too, to see if it's working. And I'll just the other question that was earlier, you were asking about measuring success, I think. What we do a lot of documentation on goal setting. It's from my earlier career and working with children in the preschool years with disabilities. We were doing a lot of documentation, goal setting, measuring right, pairing them with another member on our team. And we would have goals that they would be working on and achieving. Once they would achieve, move on to the next. So we just would have that's really how we would measure the success, just having some documentation showing where they were, where they are now. We do conduct 6-month reviews quite often as well to ask them what their goals are, and then we include them in. So just as long as you write it down, you can really see the growth very well.
Thank you. Any other questions in the room? I think we had a question come in online, right? I'll just take a look. Excellent. You mentioned job carving. How do you balance the needs of the business and the needs of the employee?
Well, that's a good question. Job carving is a beautiful thing because you can basically create a very unique job description that matches the talents of the individual. So we just absolutely love it at SaskTel. And like I said, Unifor has been very supportive of this. We've job carved positions for a number of years now. It just kind of went up to a higher level when we got the supported employment program approved. So we just look at the individual and the talents that they're bringing to the table, and we create that job description. Now it may grow from there, and we include that also in the job description to allow them to grow.
And I'm just wondering if, were you also using the job carving model? Holly?
No. So the main position we hire for is in our production. We have a list of all the different tasks. There's so many different tasks that a production members do at Milk Jar. So when we would do hiring, we would just inquire if they're able to lift, how their hand dexterity is for gripping, how their vision is in terms of labeling a candle versus labeling a box, because some tasks are a little bit more challenging than the other. And then just with whatever they're able to do is kind of what we start off with a job description. And then our goal is to have them be able to learn the other tasks as we go. But I think in our production member job, there's 100 different things someone could do. There's always something for everyone.
Excellent. One last chance for any question.
Well, thanks very much. And I know that the job carving piece is something that we find we get a lot of questions about. And I think that's one of the beautiful things about working with a service provider, whether it's a SARC member organization here in Saskatchewan or a service provider elsewhere, is their ability to meet with you as an employer to analyze your business needs, all of your related work functions, and help you explore those opportunities that are really going to meet a business need for you, but is also the best match, for a job candidate who experiences disability. And so it is somewhat of a unique approach. It's not a one size fits all approach, but it really, there can be a lot of benefits from it. But I understand there's usually a lot of questions about that, not being sure what that looks and feels like until you've been through it. But that's the beauty of working with a service provider, because this is our business, is helping you identify those things. So thank you both, Holly and Sharon, for sharing with us today. You've both worked really hard and been determined to create workplaces that not only welcome, but value the skills and abilities that people experiencing disability can bring to the workplace. So thank you so much for being a champion in building inclusive workplaces. So it's our hope that our speakers today have got you thinking about hiring people experiencing disability. If you are wondering how to get started, and I know it's been mentioned a couple times already, but please do visit the employer page of our employlink.ca website. It can give you some information about the benefits of becoming an inclusive employer, but more importantly, it can connect you with one of these service providers we keep talking about that can help you find the employees that you are looking for and that will meet your business needs. And as I said, they will really look at you. They'll meet with you and your team to learn about your business and help match you with a job seeker who has the skills and talents to meet your labor market needs. And I know that is something that is pressing for all employers across industry these days, is the kind of quick changing pace in the labor market today. And we're happy to answer any of your questions. So on your table, you have information about the EmployLink website. There's a QR code and some materials that'll take you directly there. If you can't find what you're looking for, please contact us through that contact feature on the employlink.ca website, and we'll be so happy to help you get started. So I know we're a little bit past 1. Thank you all for spending your lunch with us today. We really encourage you to consider hiring inclusively because after all, it does pay to be inclusive. Thank you so much.